He's a top 2 New York Jets head coach of all time. Rex Ryan, Eric Mangini. Okay. Never should have been fired. And the coach joins us right now here on Fox Sports Radio. How you doing, Eric?
Great with that intro. I love that intro. That's fantastic.
Listen, I love you. You delivered me one of the few playoff years that I've ever had, so thank you for that.
No worries. I enjoyed my time with the Jets.
Let's start in the obvious place here, the big story of the week. What were your thoughts when you heard Bill Belichick was not going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. When you look at his body of work, it's hard to compare him to any other head coach and think this guy doesn't deserve to be on the first ballot. And it just felt like there was maybe some, I don't know if it's pettiness or personal issues associated with it. But, Bill isn't Mr. Personality, and he can rub a lot of people the wrong way. And he never really cared what the media thought of him. And the bulk of the voters are media. So I think it's unfortunate. I think it is a discredit to the Hall because it's so obvious that to anybody that he deserves to be in.
Eric Izzy Gutierrez here. I'm curious just how you know him. He, like you mentioned, he doesn't care what the media thinks about him, right? He probably doesn't care what anybody other than his peers really think about him. How would you say that he would view this as sort of a minor inconvenience or something that he's taking very seriously because it's not proportionate to what he actually wronged somebody?
Yeah, I'm sure he's frustrated. I don't know how you couldn't be frustrated with it, but his mantra was always he didn't worry about the media because if he lost, they couldn't save him, and if he won, they couldn't touch him. And unfortunately, there is such a role that the media has played. It's gotten bigger and bigger as years have gone on, and it's proliferated. So I would imagine he is a football purist. He would look at it based off of results as opposed to, whatever the personal associations people may have with him.
Eric, do you have any sort of relationship with Bill now?
No, we do not have a relationship.
So I'm just wondering, as the coach, and I applaud you, by the way, for doing it at the time, for the coach who kind of peeled back the curtain on Deflategate, what were your feelings? Like, if that's the reason he's not in the Hall of Fame, how does Eric Mangini feel about Spygate? I'm sorry. How does Eric Mangini feel about that?
Yeah, look, I don't think that's the reason. That may be part of the reason. There are a lot of things that happened over the course of time that people have pointed to, and then people have looked at the way that the Hall is voting, in terms of you have to pick 3 out of the 5 candidates.
Right.
That was 20 years ago, and he won, 3 Super Bowls after that, went to 6, won 2 as a coordinator. I mean,
right.
I think in retrospect, you look at the amount of winning that he did with multiple different types of teams and through the free agency and salary cap era. I mean, there have been a lot of great coaches who have had great quarterbacks that couldn't win anywhere near as consistently as Bill did.
Right. What'd you make here of the Giants hiring John Harbaugh?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. John was in a really unique situation in Baltimore. I actually was with the first ever Baltimore Ravens team, and I was in the interview when we interviewed Eric DeCosta. He came in as an intern. I was chatting with Ozzie, who's a NESCAC guy. I was a NESCAC guy. And, he's been there 30 years, and several people in that personnel department, including the salary cap, pro personnel, multiple guys have been part of that department, and it's a real strength. And they have an identity, and they've done such a good job over the course of the Baltimore Ravens time of identifying players and bring great players in. And now he goes to a situation where he's going to get a lot more responsibility for doing that, which is great, and it's something he earned based off of the success that he had. But it's challenging. It's extremely challenging. So it's not just coaching the team, but now being responsible for all those other decisions related to personnel in conjunction, with the GM to try to identify guys that are right for his program.
Eric, I'm curious, as you know, I would imagine that people that go into coaching just love football more than other people, right? And so you're probably not having a hard time figuring out what's interesting or most interesting about this Super Bowl coming up. But from your perspective, what is, like, if you're geeking out on this, what's the most interesting part of the Super Bowl coming up?
Yeah, look, I love New England's defense, and that's really been the story through the playoffs. And listen, their offense had to face three really, really challenging defenses to get to the Super Bowl. But when you look at what they've done defensively, it's very similar to what we did the first time we won the Super Bowl, where we were coming off a down year. We brought in a bunch of players that from all different teams, and Mike Vrabel was part of that group who we brought in, who was going to be a special teams player. That was going to be his core identity. And he morphed into something totally different. And then they gained the momentum that they gained throughout the course of the season. And Tom Brady was in his second year. Drake May is in his second year. They had more wins than we did. We were 5-5 at one point, and then went on a run. But during that first Super Bowl run, we only scored 3 offensive touchdowns. And Tom Brady, I think, was responsible for 2 of those. And then Drew Bledsoe had the third. And the defense and the special teams were really the story. And New England's defense is very similar to that. They're starting a rookie 4th-round safety in Craig Woodson. You got a guy like Elijah Ponder, who's an undrafted free agent, who's giving meaningful snaps. You got guys like Harold Landry from Tennessee or Milton Williams. Right on the line, Christian Ellis. There's so many guys that they've brought in and have come together, and they're doing a lot of things. They're matching up, they're disguising, they're bringing different blitzes each week, multiple fronts. A lot of that stuff is based off of communication and being able to play well together. So that, to me, has been really, really fun to watch, especially in the AFC Championship game when Landry was hurt and they lost Robert Spillane pretty early. All these other guys had to fill roles, and they did such a good job of that. That's it's geeking out wise. That's probably where.
Oh, you geeked out, my man. You really did. That was great. Yes.
Well, look, I'm with you here, and I actually think that, for a bunch of reasons, that both of these quarterbacks are probably going to struggle in the Super Bowl, not just because they haven't necessarily faced the type of defenses they're about to face, but also just all the nerves and everything that comes with the Super Bowl. So I'm just curious, as a coach, right, if you're going into a game where you think, all right, maybe my offense or my quarterback specifically is going to struggle, how do you talk up the rest of the team to tell them, hey, look, if we win, it's going to be because of you. Let's focus on this, this, and this, without sort of insulting the side of the ball that you don't think is going to do particularly well?
Well, it's interesting because Drake May is so new to this, and he's had the huge, and I felt like Drake May is in a unique situation to get Josh McDaniels in the second year, and that's helped him so much in terms of his development and the progress that he's made. But he's very much about, hey, I'll do whatever I need to do to help the team win. There's no ego associated with him at this point, which is fantastic. And on the flip side of that, Sam Darnold's kind of had a hero's journey. He had the frustrating years in New York, and they got rid of him, and then he traveled, was it Carolina next? So was starting there, was 4-2 there. He gets stumped there, goes to San Fran, plays a year there, then goes to Minnesota, has the excellent season, kind of falters down the stretch, They don't want to commit to him. Now he goes to Seattle. So he's really totally just changed the narrative. And I think this last game, the NFC Championship game, to me, was the biggest change in the narrative because he was a big reason why they won, where he's been a big reason why teams have lost in those moments. So hopefully he's over that hump. And, I'm cheering for him. You love to see a guy who's kind of had the arc that he's had be successful. It's a great story, and it's another good lesson for any young athletes or any athletes that are struggling that, if you work hard and you keep at it, you can get better. And you're not defined by the moment you're in. You're defined by the things that you do moving forward, and you get to keep rewriting your story. And Sam's doing an amazing job of that.
Yeah, we cheer for all former Jets around here.
I just wish he was still a Jet.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Eric, what was your reaction? People don't realize what a big star you were when you were the head coach of the New York Jets, and I'm wondering what your reaction was when your agent, whomever asked you, hey, Sopranos called. They want you to do a cameo. What was Eric Mangini's reaction to that?
So I was actually on a bus. We had taken a group of players. We went to see, there's a Golden Gloves fight in the city, or a series of fights in the city, and we had gone to that. We'd gotten a bus to go watch the fights. Teddy Atlas, was a guy that I was friendly with. He actually worked with the team. And so we were driving back on the bus, and I got a call on my cell from a producer, and I thought it was someone, playing a prank or something like that when they asked me.
Yeah.
Because I was such a huge fan. I love the show. My wife and I watched it religiously, and then to have an opportunity to be on it, it was, I said yes right away. And it was so interesting when we went to film the actual episode. I was supposed to be friends with Tony, and James Gandolfini said, "Look, Eric, we can't have you be my friend. People will take you seriously." And I thought, who would possibly? This is a television show. Who's going to have a problem with this? But got quite a few emails and negative reactions to it, saying, you're presenting Italian Americans the wrong way. You're presenting pro football the wrong. All the things that people can sometimes get up in arms about. But it was a great call by James Gandolfini to have it be more of a hello as opposed to, good to see you again type thing.
Right. And you thought Jet fans were bad. I mean, geez.
That's the Jets coach.
Eric, we appreciate it. Thank you for the time. I hope to do it again soon. Sorry we're short on time, but thank you. Super Bowl week just started for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes.
No worries, guys. Great to do it.
All right. Appreciate it. The great Eric Mangini. Greatest Jet coach in my lifetime. God, Super Bowl week is here.